Hello, I'm EVM, welcome back to the channel, and today I want to talk about barriers to EV adoption and why I think there's a significant one that no one seems to want to talk about, or at least seems to realise it's going to be probably or possibly the biggest barrier to EV adoption of them all. And I include range, charging at home, cost, all the usual ones that come out. I think it's a bigger one than them. So big in fact that even though I've driven electric vehicles for over 6.5 years, as has my wife, I still cannot persuade my wife to take our electric vehicle, the one she's immensely familiar with and really likes, on a long journey. So yeah, I think this is one thing that is sneaking up on everyone as a barrier to people getting into an electric car. Right, now let me try and explain exactly what I mean by this and why I'm bringing my wife into it as well, which is a very dangerous thing to do sometimes. Well, let me go through the obvious barriers. There's range. That, for me, doesn't exist. Range anxiety is not a thing. It is if you read the Daily Mail, but if you drive electric vehicles, it doesn't exist. Certainly not with modern EVs today. What does exist is charger anxiety. And I know it's a bit semantic sort of thing, but ultimately you don't worry whether or not you're going to get there or not. You worry whether the charger is going to work or not. So that is a thing, but ultimately it's a temporary barrier. It is something that eventually will not exist because, well, as soon as we get infrastructure we need, it will go away. Whether that will happen sooner rather than later is the question, but ultimately there is light at the end of the tunnel. We know what we need to do to get rid of that particular problem. Another one, cost, for example. Pretty much every manufacturer is singing off the same hymn sheet, saying the same thing. Next 3, 4, 5 years, we'll have price parity between petrol or combustion engine and electric. So again, cost is a barrier, absolutely, but not for long, not forever, should I say. Hopefully it will be gone, and in a few years' time, as I said, that'll be it. Another one, charging at home. Well, that's kind of linked to the first one, the infrastructure. As soon as a myriad of solutions are in place, because there isn't just one size-fits-all solution to that. You know, infrastructure, workplace charging, on-road charging, all these little things can come together to solve the problem of people who cannot charge at home. So they're the obvious ones, and there are others. But ultimately, the one I want to talk about today is the sneaky one, the one that even I can't get over. And well, let me explain what I mean. We have a Tesla Model 3. We've had Nissan Leafs beforehand, and I get lots of press cars, so I have to rely on the public charging infrastructure. My wife, again, has driven electric vehicles for as long as I have, 6.5 years. She uses our Model 3, which, let's face it, is the best electric vehicle when it comes to driving long distances because of the supercharger network. It's literally the easiest electric car you can take to do a long journey. I don't think anybody could possibly argue with that. A Tesla, long journey, perfect, easy. Plug and play, you don't have to do anything about it. But my wife still will not take ours if she has to go on a long journey by herself. If I'm there, no problems at all. But if she's there, and whether she's with a daughter or someone else, no, not going to happen. She will take the combustion engine vehicle, because we have 2 cars, she will take that, even though it will cost £100 more in fuel, or you still have to fuel it up. You know, it doesn't make sense, does it? But it does when you think about what humans just in general do, me included. We all do this, and it's that we always pick the path of least resistance, the easy option, the safe bet. It's like if you have a takeaway. I like a Chinese. What do you want for a Chinese? Ooh, I'll have the same thing I have every time we have a Chinese, please, because I know I like it. I'm not going to try something new just in case I don't like it and then I've ruined the meal. We all do it, don't we? We all pretty much, I bet, 95% of the people anyway, are watching this and going, yep, yeah, I pretty much have the same curry or Chinese or pizza or whatever, rather than try something I've never had before. And it's the same sort of thing with an EV and petrol cars. I always think of it very much like the teacher at school, and anyone of sort of my generation will probably know exactly what I'm talking about here. Let's imagine you're doing a lesson this week on, I don't know, the Egyptians or something like that. So They go, right, we're going to do a lesson on Egyptians. I'm going to show you a video of the pharaohs. And the teacher will wheel in the VCR with the TV on top of it. We've all been there. And then they'll get the tape and make you watch something that was probably recorded on BBC Two Open University 10 years previously. They've used that video now, and they've used it for the previous decade because that's what they've always used. That's what they're used to. They won't go and find a better video or DVD or nowadays on YouTube or something like that that might be really, really good and better than that tape because they've always used that. Well, why should I look for something new? And that does me. And this is the same sort of thing with EVs. I'll ask her in a minute. In fact, I'll drag her up here and say, come on, why won't you take an EV on a long journey? Even I can't persuade you. For 6 years, I've been trying to tell people how easy it is to drive electric vehicles. And even I can't persuade my wife to go on a long journey in one, by herself anyway. So yeah, it's this sort of easy option. Like I said, it's a safe bet. People will pick what comes easiest rather than risk, even if it's a very small risk of ruining something or making it worse. And that's what a lot of people, I think, subconsciously think about electric vehicles. They go, well, I'm happy with the combustion engine car. Why should I try something new? Well, it might be better. It might save you a lot of money. Yeah, but it might not. I'll choose the safe option. And I think that is the issue here, the main issue with EVs. All the ones I've mentioned previously, they will disappear eventually. It could take years for some of them, don't get me wrong. But there is a solution to them. There's a pathway. We know what needs doing. But with this, persuading people to come out of their comfort zone, that's a little different, I think. That is something which I think will, I don't know, maybe a generational thing. It's a bit of psychology going on here. I don't know the answer. Please let me know in the comments if you do. In fact, why don't I go and move the camera and ask my wife, why won't you take our Tesla, the easiest car in the world, on a long journey? What's the problem with it? There must be some reason behind it, because it's not the car. Very familiar with the car, like I said, drives it daily to work. It's not charging. I mean, it's plug and play is the supercharger network. Can't make it any easier. It costs a lot more money if you take the other car. So why is it? Let's find out and see if we can figure out the psychology of, well, everybody. I'm not immune to this, like I said, whether it's a Chinese takeaway or an EV. We all do this. We all pick the easy way. So let me grab the camera. I'll move out of this forest to another part of the forest, because I'm not absolutely filming this on holiday at all. I'm not doing that whatsoever, nor will I be doing the next bit near our tent. When we had the Leafs with a crap network, a stupid app and short range EV, less than 100 miles, I could understand why you wouldn't take them on a long journey. I did it mainly for the channel, so that's understandable. But now we have the easiest electric vehicle in the world, in terms of the network anyway. I think even if we had an electric Mini that accessed the same network and did the same range as the Model 3, you would still take the petrol engine vehicle. Even if you could charge at that person's house you were visiting, it's almost like, well, I don't have the hassle then of...
Possibly there is
there a bit
element.
of that?
There is an element of that, yeah. It's what you're used to. It's getting over that hurdle, isn't it? That's the thing, getting over that barrier, really, that mental barrier.
But if EVM's wife is not wanting to get... How do we get the country past this barrier? We've done lots of long journeys, as in where we're all in, where I've been there, no problems at all. You've got lots of experience with the car, because you drive it practically daily to work and shops and stuff. You've got lots of experience with long journeys where we're all there, but it's when you're by yourself.
So when I'm by myself, it's different. It's different because anything could happen. It's the unknown. And I don't like long journeys.
Even with the Tesla and the supercharger network?
I don't like the long journeys anyway, but I'm kind of got my familiar zone with the Mini. I can get in. I know I've got enough petrol. I'll make sure I've got tons of petrol before I set off.
On the journeys I'm thinking of in my head, you would still have to put petrol in that car.
I don't tend to do those journeys.
But if you did, you know, putting petrol in, I think, is more of a pain in the butt when you're miles away than just plugging it into your friend's house when you get there.
You're right. And just plugging it in when I get back home is absolutely fine. And I suppose if you could just plug it into your friend's house, that would be fine. But
But
when
you
say about,
still wouldn't.
when you say about plugging it in when we go along, you say we've got to make sure that if it's in the Tesla one, that you're in the right section of it, because two people shouldn't share the same section.
So it's learning something new.
It's yes, it is. It's remembering little things like that, and yeah, it is. It's going outside the familiar.
So are people generally, is what you're saying,
Creatures of habit.
and slightly lazy, I guess. And when, all of us, not you, as
Yeah.
in, I always
Like in our
yeah.
reassurance.
Well, yeah, it's as I said before, the path of least resistance. People will pick what is easiest, not necessarily what might be best.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be literally £100 plus difference in cost between the Tesla and the Mini, and that alone is enough for a Yorkshireman to choose the Tesla. But and I'd be like, "What are you doing? It's £100." But I couldn't, so I can understand why. But what would you say from that side of the fence is the solution to this? Because I can't think of one other than making people get out of petrol cars by banning them, which is essentially what they're
that is
doing.
effectively what we're heading towards, isn't it? That's quite an extreme.
Is that why they
thing.
have to ban them though? Because people will not choose it themselves through habit.
Not everybody will, but
Not
some
everyone.
people. Some people will. Some people will be swayed enough. You've got enough people on the channel who've said, "I've bought an electric vehicle."
Oh yeah, but we're
now
talking
and
a
I'm
small
using
percentage
it."
of the population here. People that there's millions out there that could get an EV right now because they can charge at home, they can afford it, all the usual barriers, but they choose not to. Why? We can own an electric vehicle. We do. We can charge at home. We've got all the nice things that you need. Not everyone does. But there's millions out there that can get one but choose not to. And I don't think it's all because they wanted like a nice petrol car, a fast one or something like that. It's because it's different, I think. And
Yes.
I think this is the biggest barrier.
Well, it is, and I'm not sure exactly what the solution is, to be honest. Because, like I say, it took me 5 years to go to a different supermarket when we moved.
Yeah, that is true. You used to travel to we weren't far away, granted, were we?
We
used to
weren't,
travel
but
all the way there
it
instead
was-
of going to the closer, much bigger, identical supermarket.
Until we went there once and I looked around it and I thought, actually, it has got more stuff in here, and it's going to take me a little while to get used to it. But now I always go.
You knew where all the aisles were, basically, in the other
So I
ones.
went, yes, yeah, exactly. You go round, you have your little system, and
So we
it's-
need to break people's habit, which is
Yeah.
phenomenally difficult
It is.
in most things, let alone
There's no easy
buying
answer.
a car.
No.
Well, there you go. I think that is consumer advice right there. We've identified a problem and have no idea
How to fix
it. The government are banning something to force people down a path. And whether people agree with it or not, whether we'll be ready, it's a different
Well,
matter.
2040? was it, or
2035 is when
Okay,
the FEVs
right.
are banned. So that's when a petrol engine cannot be
Yeah.
sold anymore.
We're
Lon-
going to have to move with the times, but it's how easily people are prepared to move.
And I think
That's
it's
the thing.
people stuck in their ways, which is the hardest
Thing.
hardest thing to break, rather than range and costs and all the other things, which ultimately will solve themselves with technology and manufacturers bringing some more stuff out. So there we have it. We've identified a problem and left it to you to figure out.
Other than literally force me in a car, force me on a journey, which he's tried to do for a while.
Well, that's the thing. If I said to you, you have to take the Tesla, the Mini's off the road for whatever reason. There's literally no other option. You have to, and you would. And then I think if you did that once, twice, maybe 3 times, then you go, all right, yeah, this is easy. I'm used to it now. So I think ultimately, forcing people down a path is sometimes the best solution for a country, because people won't stop smoking, people won't stop drinking, people won't stop driving petrol engines unless there's a real big reason, not just incentives. They have to be told not to sometimes, banned.
How to do it, isn't it? 'Cause
So it's that,
sometimes
it's
you
that
can bully
idea-
people too
We're getting a
much.
bit political here, aren't we, in terms of where we're
Yeah,
moving?
I think we've covered the topic.
Yeah,
We've,
but ultimately, if you know the answer, let us know in the comments below, because we haven't a
won't
clue.
necessarily agree, or I won't.
No. Come on then. You can do the like, subscribe bit. You can do this bit. So what have they got to do?
Make sure you like, subscribe, click the notification bell.
That's it.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
That's
Right.
it, Babs.
There we go. We've all been in it now. Right. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.